Join him in a second. Yay! I'm excited. Bringing Katie in. I see a question down at the bottom. I'll get to it in a second after Katie and I kind of go through our emotions.
What's up, homie?
Yay! Hey, Katie.
What's good
Let me
with
move
you?
this up some because you can't see my head.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm
Awesome.
here.
Thank
I'm
you.
in the building.
Yeah, you in the building. I was
What's
about to
up,
send somebody to
Paula?
come get you in a second.
Hey, I'm never late though.
You're
You said
right.
7:05,
I
right?
said 7:05. That's exactly what I told my viewers. I told him 7:05, so he'll be here in a second.
Yeah, definitely.
Man, thank you so much for joining me. And I was just speaking to my viewers and telling them just how much I really do appreciate you, how much I admire you. Just some of your journey and the things that you did from Prophet Jones, being the connector in the industry, becoming an author. And I told him about some of your books. So give it one more try: The Book of Sean, A Black Father's Perspective, and Why Happiness is the Way to Go. And just some of that information as well, that you're a husband, you're a father, you are a man's man. So
Thank you.
no disrespect, but I I love a man's man, because to me, the way that I was brought up, like, that is a person that um, can lead you, but is not, as far as a woman is concerned,
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
you can allow to lead you, but he's
Mhm.
not afraid to allow you to kind of make your own way as well. So that it just means a lot to have somebody that's experienced, that's an author as well, that talks about love, life, relationships, and really just prospering as a person, because in order for us to thrive in a relationship, we have to be the best versions of ourselves. So just how to get to that space. So I really do appreciate you.
Nah, I mean, thank you. You're a legend. You know, for real. I really appreciate this. And when I grabbed your book, like I learned a lot about you. So I was like so excited just to read this book. See, I actually got the book.
Praise
See, I
God.
want them to know that I got the book. So, you know what I'm saying? I was really just excited, man, and just learning some things about your journey. I thought it was really amazing. So I really appreciate you bringing me on your platform, and it's an honor.
No, thank you for being a part. And so I wanted to get into the topic. No, so because this was your suggestion, this
Hmm.
topic. And honestly, I would have never thought of it, but when you said it, I was like, wow, we really do have to really focus on recognizing our flaws and knowing when we need help, and how to get help. Because it's embarrassing when you recognize something that could have stemmed even from your childhood. We have
Yes.
childhood traumas, and or things that we didn't experience, but we want things to go a certain way, so we develop control issues, or we're too demanding or too hard on other people, and we don't understand it. And sometimes when you start recognizing those flaws, because this is life, it's a roller coaster, up and down, right? It can be embarrassing to let other people see that space, because we become vulnerable to other people's opinions and
Yeah,
perception.
definitely. Definitely. Life is definitely a journey, and just like in your book, you talk about acceptance. And I think when you think about acceptance, it's a whole lot of different things that come to mind.
Hmm.
And for me, in order for me to get to where I am now, along my journey, I had to accept some things.
Right.
In your book, you talking about let it go. I had to let some things go. First, I had to accept it, and then I had to let it go. Just an example, I used to be signed to Motown, was in an R&B group, and for the first part of my life after my group, it took me a minute to just accept the fact that, okay, that group thing, it didn't work out the way that I expected it to work out, but it still was amazing because I got to do something that most people who grew up in the community that I grew up in and come from where I come from with similar backgrounds to me would have never signed a major record deal or two or three, toured music videos, LA, been on movie soundtracks with Missy Elliott and Jamie Foxx, and got to be on Soul Train and be on the Billboard charts and all these different things. So I had to sit back and think about it. I said, well, maybe Prophet Jones, that wasn't about me. Maybe that was just to show some young guy sitting at home that, you know what, it's possible. And sometimes success isn't always about the outcome. Sometimes it's about the effort. Some people just need to see that you can try. It's not about, well, can I sell 100 million albums? It's the fact that I gave it a try and I got something out of it.
I gave it
So,
everything that I had to give. I
yes,
have nothing to do with what the universe brought around to it, but everything that I had, I poured out into that. And that's what's important.
yes. So I had to make a decision because that did not go the way that I thought that it should go. I had to make a decision. Do I sit and dwell on that or stay stuck in that moment? Or do I just accept the fact that, okay, that part of my life did what it was supposed to do? And it took me a minute to mature to understand that. So I come to the understanding that that was just one part of my journey, and I accepted it that that was that. Okay. So after I accepted it, I had to let go. In your book, you talk about cyber stalking. I had to
Cyber
stop.
stalking.
Yeah, I had to stop going on YouTube, hoping somebody will upload this and trying to find this video and looking for footage from when we was in the studio with Eve and all this crazy stuff. And, you know, for a long time, I would look and search and look at other talents. And I had accepted it, but I didn't let go. And me living down memory lane so much was causing me a lot of pain. You talked about that in your book as it relates to relationships. Sometimes when people get out of relationships, they're physically out of the relationships, but they're still emotionally and mentally attached to that relationship. And being emotionally and mentally attached to something, if it didn't work out, it's a reason why it didn't work out. And sometimes if you don't let go and you keep holding on to that, you'll destroy yourself. So I made a decision that I would move on. And that's how I got to where I am right now. I made a decision to let go, to realize that that was just one chapter of my life, and turn the page.
So was there a particular turning point just from your artistry? Was there, how did you transition? Like, what was that thing that happened? Because usually it's like one day we either wake up or something happens and you're just like, you know what? No.
Yeah, definitely. I started to get sick. I started to get sick from worrying, you know, having all this anxiety, just feeling lost, feeling like emptiness. And I got so bad off, I was up against the wall. And one day I got on my knees and I was like, you know, God, you got to help me out of this. Because I had got to a place where I started to convince myself something that was not true. And that's what happened in relationships. I started to convince myself that that was the end all be all. I started to convince myself that there was no life outside of my group. I started to convince myself that there were limitations that I had, and my limitations were only that I've had one talent, one ability. I got down in prayer and I started to make decisions. And the decisions that I made is that, hey, it's time for me to get help. I can't keep walking around hovering all of this stuff inside. I need to get help. And when I started to get help, that's when things started to turn around. But it wasn't until I hit a breaking point, unfortunately. And that's what happens to most people. Most people don't even know that they need help. Sometimes you hit a breaking point where you get so low, you get in such a bad space where there is no other choice. You get into a place where you need to fight for your life. And that's what happened, and that's when I changed.
Is there a space that you would recommend, like, people kind of take heed to when going through breakups or just different types of relationships before that breaking, that thing that pulls you apart? Because sometimes, oftentimes, most times, we ignore so many signs. We ignore what we're just being shown in any kind of relationship. So that's in your career, that's in family, that's in a romantic relationship, what have you. We ignore what we're seeing because we're trying to create what we wish. We're trying to create the fantasy that we see of how it should be in our minds, as opposed to accepting what is directly in front of us.
Definitely. That's wow. Most of the time, we are prisoners to our own beliefs. It's in my book I wrote, Give It One More Try. I talk about you being the key to unlock your own doors. And sometimes we misplace those keys. So when you misplace the keys, it's like you inside a mental prison. It's like you created this whole life and you just get stuck into that whole life. And people on the outside may notice like, well, something just not right. You just don't seem like yourself. But you still stuck in that same old space, and you may have people that say, you know, you just something about you changed. Like you don't have that glow or that spark anymore. Like people start to notice things, but usually you're the last person to notice that you need to find a way to set yourself free, because you try to convince yourself that there is another way to get out of that hole that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way you can get out of it is that you have to make a decision yourself and you have to unlock it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You absolutely. Here's the thing. So you realize that, but a lot of times, and I'll say like and I spoke briefly with you about my last breakup, and just saying that it was very difficult for me. And literally, I just took that person's number out of my phone not long ago, and just like, you know what? Like, why are you even in here? But
Yeah.
we sometimes don't realize that we've locked ourselves in something, because especially for women,
Yep.
let me say this, because men are a bit more calculated, and when they are going through a break from something, like what's the book, women are like spaghetti, men are like waffles. You guys section everything off and we intertwine, like everything's, oh my god, this
Yes.
happened yesterday and this happened and this is connected, and that, like, we don't deal with one situation at a time, often in relationship. And because of that, we don't often realize that it is us that's keeping ourselves locked into this space of misery, this space of pain, this space of brokenness. And we don't realize that only we can bring us back out of the situation, because we are looking for that person that we were in a relationship with to come and be the person that we saw, that they showed us in the very beginning, that they said they would be, that they said they wanted to be for us. And we're looking for that to happen. We're wishing, like, women are very hopeful even after a breakup. They're very hopeful in believing that he is going to change. He's going to see that this person that he moved on with, or if he didn't move on with the person, that the decision that he made was the wrong one. How do you just kind of like hone in on that and say, you know what, these are some things that will kind of help you realize that you're keeping yourself there?
At some point, you just really, I hate to say, at some point, you just got to grow up. I mean, that's the reality. And when I say grow up, I'm not speaking about age. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about grow up and understand that this thing called life is not a rehearsal.
Mm-hmm.
You get one try.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a dress rehearsal. You're not rehearsing for some big supernatural thing. It's like you get one life. So the amount of stress that you put on yourself, the amount of burdens that you put on yourself, at some point it's about accountability.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be accountable for what it is that we accept in our lives and what we're willing to deal with. In
Mm-hmm.
my book, Why Happiness is the Way to Go, I talk about how some people are in your life and they see you as a dumpster. And all they want to do is dump trash constantly in you
That's a word.
and expect you to just take and receive and receive and receive. And you have to be very careful that you don't enter into a place where you're just receiving all of this trash and receiving all of this trash, because you're not holding yourself accountable for your worth.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of women, you guys are made of an emotional, makeup. So if a woman is not in a place of whole, if a woman is broken compared to a man can be broken, but it's 10 times worse when a woman is broken because you guys are already emotional from the gate.
Mm-hmm.
So in your book, you talked about, um, you said that the guy was in a relationship and he could only thrive in her brokenness
Mm-hmm.
because in her weakness, her there was no accountability. If you don't have accountability, and most people in a weak and broken place, their values degrade,
Ah,
meaning that you don't
tremendously.
have the ability at that moment to see things clear. Means you have a messed up perception of reality. So in your book, you talk about the guy who thrives off of that brokenness, thrives off of the fact that the expectations of on him are low.
Because of the personality traits, but we don't realize our own personality. I'm sorry, disorders. I'm I was speaking in terms of a narcissist and a sociopath when I spoke about how they thrive on your brokenness. Like that's when they're done because people like that they don't look for weak people. They look for strong people that have a weakness. So something that they can keep tapping at until they know when they can break it, and they thrive in that horrible place of
Yeah,
just this brokenness. And we have to also realize our own personality disorders. We have to realize when we're short tempered, or we get irate, or we're stubborn, or we're too demanding, or we're self centered and we're all about ourselves. Like there are so many things. Or I will tell you, for me, like I give up so quickly. I this happened. Bye. No, no, don't worry about it. Good night, goodbye, and good riddance. And that's a disorder because everybody makes mistakes, including me. Life happens. So if one of my desires is, if we're dating and you need to call me every day, but life happens, something happened today, and you didn't call me today, I can't just throw you to the curb if I really want to have a successful relationship.
I
Or,
think not to cut you off.
mhm,
A lot of that is coping mechanisms. Maybe some of the things that you've gone through in your life have gave you. So you know how they say zero tolerance. Yours might be zero 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 tolerance.
negative
Yeah, like
zero zero
negative
zero zero.
30 degrees tolerance. So a lot of times that's a coping mechanism where it's like if you see one little thing that goes against what your belief in terms of what you think you deserve, it's like, wait a minute, you cooked dinner, but you didn't give me a cup of you didn't add some spaghetti on the side. I don't want to be with you no more, because
Right.
it's like your guards are up. Because when you go through sometimes in life, when you go through so many things, it's like you walking on eggshells.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to like set yourself free a lot of times, and that's just in everyday life, not even just in relationships. You know, look, Paula, you've gone through some things in
Yes.
life. We know from the book, and I've been through many different things. But the reason why I feel that we're here because at some point we decided to work on ourselves.
Absolutely.
And no one's perfect. Everyone has flaws, but I always tell people, they ask me, they say, well, how did you go from being an artist to helping people get on national TV and all this stuff and then putting out books, becoming an author? I was like, well, I really didn't go from being an artist to being this. I'm a big construction site. I'm under development every single day.
And we all
And
are.
we have to accept the fact that your entire life, because those who reject that work to work to get work on yourself,
Mm-hmm.
those are the people that stay stuck, they stay hurt, they stay broken, they stay frustrated, they stay depressed. No one is perfect. We all are construction. We are work in progress, and we will stay under construction until the day we leave this earth.
And
And people who don't take that approach, they are usually the people that you want to stay away from. It's really dangerous to be around people that refuse to work on themselves, especially when you need help your own self.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times those coping mechanisms and these different approaches to different situations and how we deal with things, you know, at some in life, you can't, life is not like, you have to adjust to the climate of your life and the
Absolutely.
climate of the relationship. I say
Mm-hmm.
everyone has a different temperature in their relationship in their life. Our lives is like the weather. Some days it's raining, some days it's a thunderstorm, some days it's a tornado, some days it's an earthquake, and then some days it's sunny and the temperature is just right. Okay? And during that different time, you have to adjust. And that's where the working on yourself comes in. Every day is not going to be sunny. Some days you're going to have those rainy days. But if you put time into working on yourself and just keep building yourself out, you'll be in a better position to take a different approach and handle those situations and handle those weird emotions as they come your way.
Mm-hmm.
But that's only if you've already worked on yourself. So sometimes it takes a long time. Like I'm still working on myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's been
We all are though. Like you
for a
need to
long
know that.
time.
Like everybody is.
Definitely. We're going to constantly work on ourselves because like we say, our lives is like weather. You don't know when an earthquake is coming. And that earthquake can come through family. It can come through a business situation. It could come through something that was supposed to have worked out that just fell apart. It could come from a friend, that earthquake, that it could come any kind of way. So, you know, we get thrown all kinds of blows through life, and all of those blows that we get in life affects our personal life in so many ways. So you definitely have to work on yourself and read books like this.
Thank you. Thank you.
They help.
Let me ask this. Thank you. Let me ask this. As a husband, oftentimes women, single women, especially once they get past the 30 age, you know, that 30, 35 range, it goes somewhere because they are now looking to be married, have a family, all of those things that they were reared up to believe that it's supposed to happen by a certain age. What is it that just a decent man is usually looking for? Because women like to say, oh, you know, I'm fine, I'm pretty, and they want to get on Instagram and post pictures and they want to show their body. Or some women are, you know, I'm degreed and I have my master's, or I have this. What is it? I mean, you're a man, and men have men conversations. So of course, you guys want someone that's easy on the eyes that you can look at. Of course, you don't mind if your woman is successful. You want her to be degreed or to have this. But what are the key factors? What are the most important things for men that you know, men of a certain caliber, that are, what are they looking for um, in women, just in general?
Okay. I like this question. Well, that depends on where you at in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I'm going to just keep it real because we got to keep it real. The KD from Prophet Jones was a mess. I'm young. I'm
That's all
just
right.
being real.
That
You know
roller
what I'm
coaster.
saying? And it just depends on where you are in your life. And it also depends on, you know, where you are in your journey to better yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because if a person is broken or if a person is in a bad place, his decision making and what he's attracted to is going to be a reflection of the state that he's currently in. When you work on yourself and you become whole and you get your mind together, then your decisions is a reflection of being in a place of wholeness.
Mm-hmm.
We call it 20/20 perfect vision. You don't have all of those different things blinding you. So my answer is real simple. It depends on what you're attracted to, it depends if you're in a place of where you need more help, you need to get yourself together, you need to go through some counseling, you need to go through some fitness courses or read some books or just make a decision that you want to get yourself together. That's one part. And then the other part is being whole. But of course, men are attracted to beautiful women. That's normal. That's life.
And women have to understand that it's his version of beauty.
Yes.
His version of beauty may not be you.
No. And usually, like I say, it's impacted by what space the man is in. Life, it just depends on the space you in. It's not an answer like, men just like this type of woman. It could be a woman.
Are there ever any like key factors or not really? It really depends.
No, it depends because it has to do with maturity. Women, of course, are more mature earlier than men. Mm-hmm. It's just about where you are in your life. Now, I've never what a man might have liked 20 years ago, he might not be attracted to that anymore. It's all in terms of his self-improvement journey. Mm-hmm. And based on where you are in your journey, that plays a major role in what it is that you're attracted to, not just in a woman, but in all walks of life. Mm-hmm. Once you start to work on yourself, me going to the club popping bottles might not be that attractive anymore. Mm-hmm. Not to say, people shouldn't enjoy themselves, because you should enjoy yourself. Absolutely. But, me hanging out with 100 people might not be attractive to me no more, depending on where I'm at in my life. Maybe 5 years prior, hanging out with 100 people made me feel a certain way, and I accepted it, and maybe it was cool. But maybe I'm in a space where I just want to be with my family. Mm-hmm. I just want to keep it simple. I just want to, go down and get on a boat with my wife and eat some snow crab legs and chill out. Mm-hmm. And keep it simple. Cook for my wife. You understand?
Absolutely. I understand. Let me look and see what this question is. This is here for a while. I don't know what this is. What a great man he is. Did you see that? Worldwide said, what a great man he is.
Appreciate it.
Worldwide Chicago. He is awesome. We're very grateful. I mean, let me say this. You have to commend a man, especially for me. I'm going to commend a black man for just being a stand-up, awesome man, because you guys don't get it. You don't get it regularly. Like, you don't get it outside. If you don't have a wife or a woman that's pouring into you, you don't get it. So, like I said, your evolution of where you are, of who you are, all of your talents, all of your God-given gifts, it is to be applauded. Like, you are awesome. And
thank you so much.
And I'm privileged to have the conversation with you, to even talk about my book, for you to even give me feedback on it. Like, that means a lot. And, I really wish that women understood how important it is to pour into not just your man, but men. I mean, have some restraint. You can't be pouring into somebody else's man too much. But to really just give them praise and let them know that they are appreciated, that they are worthy, and that we are grateful to have strong men just around to have a conversation with in our lives, to just have as an example. So thank you so much. Let me ask you this. What did you get out of reading my book?
Before I answer that question, I want to show you something.
Okay.
I'm a co-author in this book, The Black Father's Perspective, and it's a very powerful book. It talks about some of the things that you was just talking about. Just, the journey, and just having that just hearing you ladies just say, keep up the good work. Congratulations, I'm proud of you. For us men, that could go so far. Just getting that having that cheerleader. And I know I'm fortunate to have my wife who's always cheering me on, even when she don't understand, because she may not always understand, but she'll at least say, good job, I'm proud of you. And that feels amazing. And it's just that extra boost of like, okay, all right, that extra approval. Women have so much power just from your mouth that you have the ability to change a whole world just by speaking life. You guys birth life, but you can also speak life.
Yeah.
That's the power that you guys have. So, what I got from your book, maybe my favorite part, or just what did I just overall?
Go with your favorite part, and then go with what you got out of it, and then maybe talk about your favorite part.
I like when you talked about small sacrifices.
Was that the favorite part, or is that just something that you got out of it?
That was my favorite part.
Okay.
I mean, just really how you talked about like small sacrifices and things, and you said that your father told you that if a man want to make it happen, that he'll find a way to make it happen. So you see, I read your book.
Yes.
And I'm sure your dad is a great man.
Yeah, my dad.
We all know he's a great man. And he taught you, you know, that a man could be busy, he could be doing a million things, and, you know, all of these things, but nothing should come before what's most important to him. And that is usually your family and the people that you personally dearly care about, you know? So that was a powerful point. It was talking about the sacrifices because I could relate to that. You know, right now I have, my son just turned 5 months, my youngest son. So a lot of times, you know, me and my wife, she might have to do something. I'll hold the baby, and, you know, I might have an interview with some TV show or some stuff going on, and, you know, she's doing her business, and it's just so much going on all at one time. And I still make sure I cook dinner. You know, I make sure, because I look at it, she's nursing. So she's up 3, 2 in the morning, you know, and I said, okay, so what can I do to take pressure off of her? Let me find every single thing I can do. Okay, I can do laundry. Okay, I can cook breakfast, and I love to cook. I'm like a fake chef. But I cook, make sure I cook, make sure that, you know, I go to the market. I like going to the market, actually, and make sure she has everything that she needs, little snacks and stuff, and just try to play my part and make those sacrifices to just always put her first, because I know how much it takes. I've learned, let me use the right words, I've learned how much it takes to be a mother, how much a child takes energy from you, and women you guys are tired. Yeah. So I try to make as many sacrifices as possible, even putting some of my things on hold so that I can be here for my wife, for my family. And awesome. I've had opportunities. People say, okay, yeah, we're in a pandemic, but I've had more blessings since the pandemic happened. Mm-hmm. So, but at the same time, you can't take everything that come your way. So for the sake of, and the sacrifices that I need to make for my family, some things I have to just say, no, I can't do it. Mm-hmm. No, not right now. Mm-hmm. Because I'm making a decision that my family comes first. And I'm also, you said it's the little sacrifices, but it's also the understanding. You talk about gratitude in your book. I'm grateful for my wife. Mm. Okay? So in that gratefulness, there are certain things that I need to do, not just to talk, so that she can see that I'm grateful. So no matter what the sacrifice it is, just to make sure I'm taking pressure off of her, making sure any little thing that I could possibly do to just give her some kind of relief, that's what I do. So my favorite part of your book was talking about sacrifices and what your dad said to you, because I think it's very important. I told my wife today, I said, love is in the details. I come to realize. Love is in the details.
Love is in the details.
Love is not, I'm somebody paying a mortgage, somebody paying a rent, somebody doing those things. That's cool. That's what us men do. But at the same time, love is, if I'm going to fix my wife a plate, I'm going to make sure the presentation is right. I'm not just going to hear some food. I'm going to make sure the
Because,
presentation is right. Make sure it's right. Love is in the details. Make sure everything is set up right. Make sure if it's a certain glass, love is in the details.
that's a word. That's a
You
little churchy
understand?
right there. I'm about to
Yeah,
take it.
I'm trying to be cool on this line, but
That's a little churchy right there. Love is in the details.
love is in the details. That's where
Gotta go
love
on.
is. Love is in the details. So I try to be as detailed so that she can see, wow, you went the extra mile and did this. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a difference, and like you said, it's in the details. I just talked about the book. Women are like spaghetti, men are like waffles, right? And because we intertwine everything, we're so sensitive. We see, we know, and we appreciate when you do the little things. Like we love when you take the time to wash our car. We love when you take the time to go just put gas in a car. Like those, and people think that those things don't matter. Like for you to do
Yes.
that and not just, oh, he paid the bills this month. Not that that doesn't matter. It does. Some women need to be cared for in that way, and some men love to care for their women in that way. But to go extra, to go above and beyond to show her that you care and you want to be there. And hey, even if I don't always do the right things because we never do, I'm willing to
Yes.
make sacrifices. I'm willing to lay out whatever I need to lay out and be vulnerable and care for you. And I hope that you care for me just the same way.
Definitely. Hey, love is in the details. It's in the details. That's the bottom line. Life, not just in a marriage, in a romantic relationship, in life. When you're dealing with life, everything is in the details. So,
So I think like when we talk about just on subject like recognizing our flaws and knowing when we need help. So let me go back. I spoke to you briefly about certain things, and what I realized in recognizing my flaws at that point in time, and I had to work on that, was I became accepting of so many things because I've always been very much like my dad, no nonsense, walk away, let go of anything like that. So
yes.
I said, Paula, that's something that you need to work on. And then when I got into a relationship that was not healthy for me, I accepted so much because from my past, I had just bye, 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 and I let go. And what I realized is that there's just a happy medium because you can talk to your girlfriend, some whether if you're or your guy friends, whatever. If you're married, if you're separated, if you're single, or if you're just in a regular relationship, and everyone has their different ways of dealing in a relationship. One thing I think we need to do in recognizing our flaws is stop asking other people who are or are not in relationships about what we should do in our relationships. You have, especially a woman, you have intuition. Men, you have know-how. You are calculated. You understand what a situation is. You know how to deal with your relationship. It's not always going to be right, but when we take outside advice, we try to conform our relationship to be something that someone else has and not what we have. We're all different people. We're all going to have different tolerance levels, things that we want, things that we desire, we don't desire, whatever. And I think that
Now
when I was in
that's
that,
a word.
yeah, when
I,
I was in
I,
that,
I,
go
I
ahead, I'm
saw
listening.
that. I don't know if you remember. I think it was maybe 5 years ago. Was it 5 or 6 years ago when reality TV was really blowing up, like Love and Hip Hop?
Hmm.
I think it was like 6 years ago, maybe. Not
I never
somewhere
really
around there.
watched it. Don't
Yeah.
make me.
So if you notice at that time, a lot of relationships was actually crashing when these reality shows was blowing up because a lot of people would sit at home and look at these relationships on TV. And it's crazy because I was working with some of these people that they were looking at, and the people that I was working with, they not even like that.
Mm,
So it's like when you say that outside advice, outside influence, you know, a lot of the shows, a lot of what we absorb, we have to realize that everything we see is not real. And when you're watching stuff on television and even sometimes on social media, you have to be very careful because what works for somebody else may not work for you.
yeah. And then
You
that's a
understand?
flaw. It's a
Yes.
flaw to not. Here's the thing. every decision, if you choose not to make a decision, that's still a decision. All right. So whether you go left or whether you go right, at the end of the day, whatever you decide to do, every decision is a decision. If you make no decision, it's a decision. When we go outside and we ask other people, that's saying that we're not secure enough in ourselves to make a decision with the person that we're involved with, we're sleeping with, laying down with, we're spending our lives with, we're living with, we're spending X amount of time with, we're building a life with. We're not even confident enough in ourselves to say, you know what, let me evaluate what happened. Let me be logical about it, and
Yes.
let me approach this rationally, and see what's the best decision for us. But someone will look at reality TV, or they'll look at a friend's relationship, and they'll say, hey, um, I did this, or I'm going to do this way. So then you kind of follow behind it. And that's not just in
Yeah.
immature relationships. I see that so often in adult relationships. And I'm just thinking to myself, so you can lay down with a person. And for me, that's big. Like if
Definitely.
intimacy and beyond intimacy, like sex is big. If we are involved in a physical relationship, I can ask you whatever the hell I want to. Like
Definitely.
you're like we are exchanging a lot. If I can't have a conversation with you, if I can't tell you that I um, I like something or I dislike something, then there's an issue, and I think that poses a problem to the point where we need to know that we shouldn't be in that relationship if we can't express ourselves.
No, definitely. It's wow. So let me say something as it relates to like where we are right now with
Mm-hmm.
the corona and the pandemic and everything going on. It's getting really difficult for people to maintain their relationships because now, okay, there we go. Now we're being forced to face each other face to face. So if you're in a relationship, you don't have all of the flexibility that you had before the pandemic. So during these times, and I wanted to switch it because I'm sure like right now, more people will be able to relate to what they're currently going through. But we know before this people might have looked for outside influence in their relationships, but right now you have to really tighten up because now you're forced to be around somebody more, and you guys may have some issues and may have some problems and some pre-existing stuff way before the pandemic. Now you're in a situation where with all these restrictions and limitations and you
Mm-hmm.
know that we have on us at this moment, it's actually breaking a lot of people. It's tapping into that part in your book where you talk about working on yourself. Right now in relationships, people are losing sight of who they even with
Mm-hmm.
because now they dealing with their own personal issues.
Or they're realizing that they don't
Yes,
know the person that they're with. I had this
definitely.
conversation not long ago. You think we work for 8 hours a day, right? Then think about
Yep.
the time you spend preparing to work for work in the morning.
Yes.
Think about the time that you spend getting to and from work. When you get home, you eat dinner, you may have a short conversation, then you're in the bed, you get up the next day, do it again. And everybody's busy. And people, a flaw that people
Yeah.
need to recognize is it's okay to take your time. Like love and relationship takes time. And oftentimes we rush into something because we just don't want to be alone. And that's for men and for women. Oh, she meets these requirements. He meets these requirements. And I just don't want to be alone. But the divorce rate is popping off. The domestic violence rate is
The
popping off.
distractions are gone now.
Yeah, the
You're not
domestic
going to
violence
work
rate is
with your
up
coworkers.
because we're in a space where we're realizing, or people are realizing. Thank God, I'm not one of them.
Yeah.
People are realizing that they're in a space with someone that they don't even know. This person's a stranger. The representative
Yes.
is gone.
Yes. Because now you're spending more time. You actually have time to get to know the people you've been around versus the people that's at your job. where you spend, what, 5, 6, 7 hours a day prior to COVID. You was gone for a couple of, hours. You wasn't around that person so much, so yeah, it's definitely getting real.
Yeah.
So, but people need to read this book. I'm going to keep plugging this book because it's very important. We don't have but so much time before the batteries die on these IG lives. But if you purchase this book, you can keep this book with you and get some advice and understanding, especially, if you're dealing with some issues right now during this pandemic in your relationships, because it's not easy. It's not easy for nobody right now. We all have our good days and our bad days, but, thank God for people like yourself who took the time out to write a book, to, help someone who may be lost, who may be trying to make some decisions. And it's bad enough to make decisions before this pandemic happened. So thinking about being in that situation during this time where you not only have your relationship that you got to worry about, but all these other things around you. So the pressure is that much difficult. Yeah. So the timing of putting this book out, I mean, it's a blessing to so many people. So I just wanted to plug your book again.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I just want to leave the viewers that we have here with this. Just really, in recognizing our flaws and knowing when we need help, we have to understand that is not enough. When we recognize it and we know that we need help, it's our time to go get help. So whether you have a close sibling, you need to go to a therapist, you have a parent or best friend, whomever that you can speak to, a lot of times we continue our patterns because either we don't recognize them or we don't know how to go about getting help. We don't know when we need to go get help. And for a lot of women, let me say this, because this tongue is a sword. I told you the other day, I will murder you. And especially women, we have to learn how to be a bit more gentle, even and men as well. Even if someone is approaching you negatively, if you're in that relationship and you really want that relationship to work and you believe that it's worth it, you have to know how to speak to an individual. You know how to know how to give a kind word, so that you can diffuse that situation. Like you can diffuse a quarrel. That's a proverb in the Bible. But you need to know that it's very important to know how to speak to someone. You need to know that it's very important to know if you're being too demanding. It's very important to know if you're being too passive or too aggressive. Like you need to know what your flaw is, and then you need to find a space where you can create a happy medium. There should be no way in any relationship where you are uncomfortable being 100% yourself. We all have things that we need to work on, but we have to learn to love us just like we are, without any extras, without trying to please someone else. You should go into a relationship pleasing someone with exactly who you are. So, Katie, I thank you very much. Guys, get the book. If he wanted to be there, he would. You can get it at IamPaulaCampbell.com and Amazon.com. Katie has 4 books or 3 books, and then he's the co-author for one. So give it one more try.
Yes. Give it one more try. Why happiness is the way to go.
And The Black Father's Perspective. Where can they get those books, Katie?
So give it one more try. You can go online at Target and order it. You can go online at Walmart and order it. It's at Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, Kindle, and Audible books. Why Happiness is the Way to Go. You can go to Barnes & Nobles online, Amazon. And The Black Father's Perspective is at Amazon.
Got it.
So this actually was my first book. It was cool. I just saw my son. But this was my first book, and it did really, really well. And this book means a lot to me because it talks about my journey. The title is called Give It One More Try. It talks about when I was in that place where we talked about transitioning, and I was at a low place. And every single day I had to tell myself, don't give up, keep going. there's something greater on the other side. I was in a place where I was in a dark place mentally, so I would just tell myself, you got to give it one more try. What's up, T Savage? So one of my homies came on there. But yeah, so I appreciate everything.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for just filling us with knowledge, for sharing your journey, for sharing information, your books. And we have to do it again sometime soon.
Definitely.
Sometime soon. So thank you so much, Katie. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. Next Monday, 7 o'clock.
Peace.
All right, peace.